Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Sitecore User Group India. Today we have Nidhi Paneri and Praveen Sharma with us. Nidhi has 12 years of experience in the industry and 7 years of experience working on the Sitecore platform. And she is Sitecore 10 and XM Cloud certified. Praveen has 3 years of experience working on Sitecore products, and he is also Sitecore 10 and XM Cloud certified. Today's topic is integrate GraphQL in Sitecore headless solution. So in this session, they will demonstrate how you can use GraphQL queries in Sitecore headless solution to get the required data, and how you can improve your performance and get the faster responses using the GraphQL queries in Sitecore headless solution. If you have any questions during the session, you can add it in the chat window. We will address all of your questions at the end of the session. Nidhi and Praveen, over to you. Thanks,
Yeah,
Kushbu.
thank you, Kushbu. Yeah, hello everyone. Very good evening. Welcome to Sitecore User Group India. In this session, we will deep dive into it how to integrate GraphQL in Sitecore headless solution. Yeah, so let's move to introduction part. Myself, Praveen Sharma. I am working as a DX engineer in horizontal digital. I have total 3.5 years of experience. I am Sitecore 10 and XM Cloud certified. I am working in Sitecore various versions like headless architecture and XM Cloud include. I am very passionate about continuous learning, reading, and blogging. So here is my LinkedIn handle. Here is my also horizontal email ID and my blog post. You can reach out to me over there. Here is my co-speaker Niti Paneri.
Hello everyone, my name is Nidhi Paneri. I am working as an associate lead at Horizontal Digital. I have total 12 years of experience and 7 years are relevant to Sitecore. I am Sitecore 10 and XM Cloud certified. I work with different Sitecore versions, including the headless architecture and personalization. My interest includes learning new things, reading, writing blogs, etc. My company email ID is in npaneri@horizontal.com. This is my blog post URL and my LinkedIn channel, so you can connect over there. So let's start with today's agenda. So we will be giving you the overview of the topic. Then we'll talk about what is GraphQL, what is the GraphQL APIs in Sitecore, what are the benefits of integrating GraphQL in Sitecore. Then we'll do the GraphQL setup over the headless installation. Then we'll talk about a bit about the layout service and changing the response with GraphQL query. Then we'll go inside the advanced query section and we'll run some of the query inside the GraphQL playground. So overview, integrating GraphQL in Sitecore headless solution. So with Sitecore headless JSS architecture, we use the layout service to render data at front end. The Sitecore layout service returns a JSON representation of all the fields from the Sitecore data source item for any component. The GraphQL query reshapes the response and allows us to retrieve precisely the data we need instead of all the fields. And it also fetches the data from different sources. It enables more efficient and flexible data querying, minimizing the overfetching of the data. So in this session, we will demonstrate how we can use GraphQL query in Sitecore headless solution to get only the required data for better performance and faster responses. So what is GraphQL? GraphQL is a query language and server-side runtime for application programming interfaces, APIs. It gives API client exactly the data requested for. It is designed for the precise control over the data request. It allows fetching multiple resources in a single request. So with GraphQL, we can get the data from multiple resources, multiple items, multiple templates. It reduces overfetching and underfetching of the data. It makes APIs fast, flexible, and developer friendly. It is appropriate when production grade API is needed to power the front end. Now see Sitecore GraphQL API. So the Sitecore headless service module includes two GraphQL solutions. The first is Sitecore GraphQL API, and the second is Sitecore Experience Edge for XM Preview GraphQL endpoint. Sitecore GraphQL API is a generic GraphQL service platform. It is appeared in 2018 with the JSS framework. Sitecore data via API it provided. It hosts data and presents it through the GraphQL queries. It supports real-time data using GraphQL subscriptions. It is significantly more maintainable, more powerful, more easily discoverable, and queryable with the built-in GUI tools. The GraphQL type system knows about the Sitecore templates, and the Sitecore template fields are mapped to GraphQL types. So we can write the strongly typed query against the real fields that can be created and validated. Template changes are also updated in the real time. As we know that Experience Edge is the API-based service from Sitecore that provides us the access to Sitecore XP items. The GraphQL endpoint in the Experience Edge is an endpoint based on Sitecore GraphQL API. This endpoint mirrors the schema and behavior of Sitecore Experience Edge for XM. It enables previewing, editing, and the local development. As we can see in this diagram that from the Sitecore XM, we can get the data through the API in the API layer through the GraphQL queries. It gives us the content in JSON format, which can render to any of the channels. GraphQL operations. So all type of GraphQL operations are supported by the Sitecore GraphQL API framework. The first one is queries. It means reading the data from the content items. Mutation means altering data, creating, updating, or deleting any item or any template. Subscription, subscribing to real-time updates of data. So basically subscription is when data is modified via a GraphQL mutation operation. So the subscribed clients are automatically notified accordingly, like for item update, item create, all the clients will be updated on the real time. Benefits of integrating GraphQL in Sitecore. So there are four key benefits of integrating GraphQL in Sitecore. Enhanced flexibility. So GraphQL allows the developer to retrieve precisely the data they need, enabling more efficient and flexible data querying. Streamlined development. With GraphQL, developers can iterate quickly and independently on front-end and back-end components that reduce the overall development time. Improve performance, the GraphQL minimizes overfetching of data, leading to faster response time and improved performance. Better support for modern front-end frameworks. So GraphQL's schema-based approach aligns well with the component-based architecture of modern front-end frameworks like React, Vue.js, Angular, facilitate smooth integration and the development. So these are the key benefits of using GraphQL in Sitecore. Now we'll move with the GraphQL setup over the headless installation. So Praveen will talk about this.
Yeah. So now in order to set up the GraphQL in your Sitecore instance, I am assuming you have a local Sitecore instance and you have installed JSS package. So once you install the JSS package in your local instance, so this Sitecore GraphQL regarding things are automatically populated in our root folder. So in order to set up, first you need to enable, once you check your fconfig services.graphql folder, there is a one config available sitecore.services.graphql.content.master.config.example. So first of all, you need to rename this config and you need to remove the example extension over there. So as you see here, we have removed the example extension from this config. So this is the first initial step. In order to the next step, enable GraphQL authentication using API key. So in this step, what you need to do, you need to do one config change also over here. So you can go in app config sitecore services.graphql and sitecore services graphql.config. So you need to set here require authentication false and require API key true. So as see in the screen, you can set the false property to the required authentication and true property to the required API key. Yeah. So in order to next step, add authentication. So in this step, when using GraphQL playground, you might encounter authentication issue. So to resolve this problem, you need to modify your Sitecore authentication.config file. So for this file, you need to go in your root folder, app config, Sitecore, authentication folder are available over there. So once you open the sitecore.authentication config file, you need to add a path in the site natural path. Yeah, as see in the screen, you can add this path sitecore/api/graph.item. So after this modification, you can save your file. Yeah, in order the next step, now this is all set for the GraphQL playground. So now I will show you how can you open the GraphQL playground. So for this thing, you need to go in your rendering section in Sitecore. So once you go to your rendering in your Sitecore, whatever you have created, so there is a graph section available in the rendering. Yeah. So in the rendering section, we can see there is a graph section available. So here, when we click on the open a graph browser, then it will automatically open the GraphQL playground in the next tab. Yeah. So our GraphQL playground is ready. So in this GraphQL playground, we can play with the GraphQL query. So here is some section that we need to do configure HTTP header query variable, and the main section we can write our query. So in the HTTP header section, or in this section, we need to pass our API key, which we have created in our Sitecore instance. So let's show you how can we create your SC API key. So in the system settings services, there is API key folder available. So in the API key, you can create your own API key. So when you create your API key, we need to define two field value here, course origin or allow control. So we are inserting in this field value as a asterisk here. It means this API can access to all the controllers and origin, or we can say that it is not limiting this controller access. So here is SC API done. Now move to the playground again, and we are writing a query. So first of all, we need to pass the SC API in this. So we can pass in the string SC underscore API key and our API key ID. Yeah, or in the query variable section, provide all the variable, whatever you are using in your GraphQL query. So let's write a query here first. So here I am writing a query for fetching some data from the data source item. Yeah. So in this query, what we are doing, we are first of all checking the data source item is not null. Then we are taking the item, and item in we are assigning the data source item path. And we are checking also the language version which we are using currently is this is English version. So now I am taking the fields, and in fields we are getting all the value and the name of the fields. Here we are providing the on field true. It means whatever the field we have created in our template, it will return only these field, not include standard fields. So now this time to return the query variable in this section, our data source. Yeah. So for example, we have created here about data source, about item. So we are taking example of this item as a data source. We can take ID and item path as well. Both are working in the query variable section. Once you click on the play button, you can see in the result all the fields of your template is populated, like we have in our template title, subtitle, description, date, link, image. So all the fields are populated in the GraphQL result. So that's what why we are using the GraphQL and how to write a GraphQL query. Now moving to the layout service section.
So we have seen that how we can write the GraphQL query inside the playground. Now, as we know that the layout service is a Sitecore headless service endpoint that exposes the site code layout information structured as JSON data. It leverages the Sitecore rendering engine to produce the structured JSON output, decoupling the layout and the renderings. We can use the JSON to any of the front-end technology stack. So these two ways we can expose the layout service, getting the output of the whole layout and getting output of the particular placeholder. So here we know that this is the config is the name of the layout service configuration. The path is the item path. The language is the language of the version we want to use. API key is what we had just created to access the layout service or the GraphQL queries. Tracking is optional parameter, we can set it, and the SSIT is our site name. Here we can also provide the placeholder name to minimize the response. So these two ways we can render the response. Let me go to the content editor and explain you the structure first, so it will help you understand it more. So we had defined this structure about. Inside about we have the leaders and team. Inside leaders we have PM and TLs created, and here we have the leaders, and inside team we have the different team members. For creating this structure, we had first defined the templates. So we had created different templates for the demo purpose. Here, these are the all templates we had created. For creating the component, we had first defined the placeholder settings. So inside placeholder setting, we had created the project folder and defined these three placeholder setting items here. We had created one layout. So this is the main layout we had created. This is the path to the JS app SCS HTML file. Then we had created the renderings. So this is the rendering we are using. We need to pass here the component name. So we are using the about us component here. And after that, on the item, about item, in the presentation details, we have used this layout, which we had created, and the component about us. And the placeholder we have used main, and we are giving the data source as the about. So now if we run the layout service, so it gives us this response. So as we already seen that in this layout service, we are using the render layout, then the JSS is the config path, then item path we need to provide here. This is the about item path, then API key we had provided, and this is our project name. So it is rendering all the fields. So this is the basic structure, context, then root, fields, and after that, we have all the placeholders. So we have these three placeholders, header, main, and the footer. We have mapped only the main. That's why it is giving this result. Likewise, we can use the placeholder name. So if we are giving the placeholder main here, so it is giving us the result for the main placeholder only. We can see that for the main placeholder, for about item, all the fields it is giving us like image, link, date, description, the multi-list item, title, subtitle, and everything. So this is the layout service response for the item we had created. So we have seen that this is the layout service response. Now layout service with GraphQL query. So we talked about like how the layout service gives us the response and how we can write the GraphQL query inside Playground, but how we can combine both the layout service and GraphQL. So let's go to the Playground again and write one query to get some of the items from the about template. So here from the data source, I'm reading ID, name from the about template. So this is the syntax we need to use, writing the three dots and then the template name. And from this template, I want to read title value and the subtitle value. So you can see that the intelligence is working here and it is giving us all the template field values, names. So we are getting the title and subtitle only. So here you can see that the title and subtitle is received. So if in this layout service response, we don't want to have all these things, we just want to have the title and subtitle only. So we can copy this query, go to the rendering, which is mapped to this item. So this is the rendering. Inside the GraphQL section, we have this GraphQL section from where we had opened the playground. Here you just need to paste the query and save. The data source, language, context path, all are already defined here and always available because we are defining it on the presentation detail of the item. We are using this rendering and data source and language are all defined. So this will work. Now, see the layout service response. So you can see that earlier the response was like this. It was giving all the fields value, but now the response is giving the title and subtitle only. So this way we can minimize this and change the layout service response. Here we have this doc section available. So it is giving us all the help. As I've already said that all the GraphQL types are available, the queries, mutation, and subscription. So if you want to write any query like item, get, search, site, or template, so you just need to click on this and it will give us all the interface details, interface item, like what you want to get, fields, options, all the options are here. And it is also giving us the structure. Okay. So this is about changing the layout service response with the GraphQL query. So we have checked that. Now let's move to advanced queries. So we have seen that how the response is changing. Now we will see some of the queries, advanced queries in the playground only. So from the playground, we will see the response, but we can use it in the layout response or any other places. So let's move to playground first. Here, sorry. Here first, we will write a query to get all the fields. So we have already defined the data source from our about item, and we have written item, path, data source, and language is English. Here I want to fetch all the fields from this data source item, and for all the fields, I want to have name and value only. So let's see what it gives. So it is giving us all the fields with name and value. So you can notice here that all the template fields as well, the standard fields are here. Okay, so if we don't want to have the standard fields, we just want to get the template fields only. So in this case, we need to write on fields equals to true here. So writing this on fields will remove the standard fields and it will give us only the template fields. So we can see here that it is giving on the template fields only, which are defined here on the about item. So all these fields it is giving. Okay, so we have seen the query to get all the fields, then the template fields. Now we can check how we can get the item based on the template. I mean, mentioning the fields of the template item. So removed from here. We can also write a object name for the response, like if I am writing response data, so the response will be captured inside the response data object. I want to fetch ID, name, and dot 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 on template name about. And from this about, I want to get title value, subtitle value. Here we have title, subtitle, description, date, link. So we can get date, link, URL. Let's see what it is giving. So it has given us the result for 4 items from this template, and it is giving us the object in the response data name. So likewise, we can query to get mentioned field of the template item from the data source. Now, if we want to get the children based on the given template. So if I want to get the children of this data source item, so what we can do, we need to write children. So from this about template, I want to get the children from this template only, the leader template only. So I need to write the template name here, dot, dot, dot on leader. And from this leader template, I want to get ID, name, and what all other details it is having. It is having the department module. So the intelligence must be giving us this department value and module value. Let's run this. Yeah, we can see that it is giving us the children based on the template. So here in the about, we have this item created based on the leader template, but the second item is not based on that template. So it is giving us one item only. But if we are duplicating this and creating one more item, so it will also be based on the leader template. Just save it and run the query again. So it is giving us 2 items because now inside the data source children, we have 2 items based on this data template. Okay, so this is done. Now we can also use the alias name here. If you want to have the different name for these fields, so we can write the alias name like leader ID. Then if I want to give it leader name, leader department, leader module. So the response will change and it will show the field name as alias, what we have provided here. Okay. So now if we want to fetch the multi-list item, let me go to the about template. Yeah. So here we were fetching the title, subtitle, date, and link. But if we go here in about, we can see that there is a multi-list section. So multi-list item, the name is also multi-list. So how we can fetch this item? Here, need to write multi-list item, ID, its name. And to get the multi-list item, we need to write the target items here. And from the target item, we want to fetch ID, name. Let's see what it is giving. So from the multi-list item, it is giving us both the items which are selected in the multi-list, leaders and the team. So we have the leaders and the team. If we want to go inside that, so in the leader, we have again the multi-list. So we can get these items as well. So let me paste a query here. So as we get the target item from the multi-list, likewise, we can get the target item from leader and then the leader section. So it will give us all the result. So here the target item is giving us leader and the team, but from inside the leader, we have the TL, PM, and all the details are here. So this way we can get the multi-list items as well from the in the GraphQL query. If we want to fetch data based on the multiple template, so like in the about data source, we have these two items created. This is based on the leader template and this is based on the team template. If I want to fetch item based on these two template and if it is other items are also there, I don't want to fetch them. So I need to write this query. So from the data source children, I want to have leader template department and the team department only. So running this query will give me both the results. But if I'm having any more item here created based on some other template, let's say team details. So it should not show here. We can see it is not coming here. And if we have two items based on a single template, that will also be listed here. Save it. So we can see that two items are based on the leader template. So it is giving us those. And one is based on the team template. So it is giving us this. So likewise, we can get the different template values here. Now the next is using search. If we want to search for any particular field value, so we can write the search query. Looking at the time, I'm just pasting the query here. We'll explain. So here we need to write the search, then the field equal name. It is the field name. Value is the field value which we want to search for. Root item where we want to perform the search. It will give the results ID, name, path, URL. And inside this template, we have first name, designation, bio. So it will give us these results. So leader 2 and leader 1. So if we go to this path inside code, leaders and PM. So inside leader 1, we have Nidhi P and leader 2 this. That's why it is giving us two results. If I mention it as Nidhi P, so it will give me one result only because this value is present at one place. Okay. Now, if I want to perform a search based on a keyword in the root item, so I can give the root item as the home item and define a keyword here like TL. So it is giving me the count that total 3 places are there where this keyword we can find in the root item. So likewise, we can perform the search. Okay. Now, the next one is fragment. We go to can use the query we were using to get different template item. Let's use the same query for fragment. So here we are getting the department for leader and also we can write some other fields also. If we want to modularize it, we can write the fragments like fragment, name of the fragment, leader item. Here we want to need to write the template name and what we want to fetch. So it will be department. If we want to fetch module, so we had created this fragment. Now we need to write this fragment name here. So this also use with 3 dots. So we can see that in leaders, we are getting department and module from the fragment. So it is nothing but the function or the modular way of defining. This is all about the advanced queries section. So we had seen these much queries. Multilingual configuration. So here we were providing the language in the data source from in the parameter section. We can also provide the language. So if we are using the multilingual structure, so we can define the language directly here. And we need to pass it as a parameter. We'll check for the null. And here we'll use it from the parameter. So this has changed. So we can configure the language from the query variable as well if we are having the multilingual configuration. Handling complex queries. So when working with GraphQL in Sitecore, we may encounter error indicating that the query is too complex to execute. This typically happens because the query exceeds the default complexity or the def limit set by the Sitecore GraphQL APIs. To resolve this, we need to adjust the max depth and the max complexity setting in the Sitecore configuration file as per the screenshot. Let's go to the configuration file. So in the GraphQL config file, we have this setting, the max complexity and max depth. So to resolve the complex queries error, we can increase this accordingly. But we need to be careful by increasing this. So this is all about advanced queries. Then the fragments and mutations. So GraphQL fragments, we already seen but it is what it is actually. So it allows us to define set of fields that we can include in multiple queries, making queries more modular and reusable. This is especially useful where we have the complex content structure. Mutation is the GraphQL can also modify the data items. So in Sitecore, we can write the queries with the GraphQL queries to create, update, or delete items directly. So mutation we have already seen. Next, we will see the mutation queries. Praveen, can you please walk us through for the mutation?
Yeah, let me share my screen. My screen is visible, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So as Nidhi told, mutation is one of the powerful feature of the GraphQL is its ability to not only query data but also the modify the through mutation. So in Sitecore, this translate to the capability to create, update and delete item directly through GraphQL query. So let's create an item using the GraphQL mutation. So here is the query. Yeah. So this is create item query. With this help, we can create item in our Sitecore instance. So what I am doing in this query, I just name which field, which name I want of the Sitecore item. And I also passing the template for from which template we want to create this item. And we are also passing the parent means from where, like this is our parent item mutation. I want these children of the new created item in this mutation items. So I pass the parent item ID here. I am passing language So in our template, we have two fields like title and subtitle. We want to field in value like this. So I am just running this query. Yeah. So in the result, you can see here. So create item is created under this mutation items and the ID is this. So like I can show you in your Sitecore instance. Yeah. So item is created in the Sitecore like item create item with mutation. Whatever we have passed in our GraphQL query. So this is about how to create your item with the GraphQL mutation. Now I will explain about the update mutation. So mutation update in this, what we are doing, we are define the path means on which item you want to update the content. Define the language version, define the version fields. So in title field, I want to update this content, and in subtitle, I want to update this content. And as a result, what I want title and subtitle updated field in the result. So let's, yeah. So as a result, we can see I have got the updated result in this GraphQL background result. Like this is a Sitecore new item created with mutation update item as I provided the subtitle field. I also show you in our Sitecore instance. Yeah, so this content is updated in Sitecore as well. So this is all about mutation update item. Now let me tell you about delete item mutation. Yeah, so I am assigning the path of the item which I have created newly with the help of created item. Now I want to delete this item, and this delete item query will return us the true or false value. Let's play this query now. I got the true result. Now this item is deleted from the Sitecore instance. Let me show you. There is no children available in this, so the item is deleted. So this is all about the item creation, updation and deletion. Now let's move to our next slide. So this is about conclusion. So just a minute.
So we have seen that how we can create the item, update item, and delete item. So this was all about the session. Here we are done with our session, and we can conclude that integrating GraphQL in Sitecore can enhance the development experience and improve overall performance. By leveraging GraphQL's flexibility, we can build the scalable and efficient solutions. So we have the time left, so we can cover the queries if you have any.
Nidhi, there are few questions in the chat window.
Okay, let me see that. Can't we use layout API key for the GraphQL? So we can use the same API key. It just shown that we need to create one API key, but it is the same as the layout API key. Or it will be always different. No, it is same. Then we have one more question from us. Is there a way to convert the response object, that is name, some value, to key value pair like this? I'm not getting this. Rajat, can you
No,
explain what?
no, I getting this
Yeah.
point.
Yeah, Praveen, you can continue.
Yeah, I think so. Rajat thing saying about the we are assigning the value to the another field. We have also showed that this thing also in this queries using
Yes, you are
alias.
talking about the alias. So Rajat,
No,
let
no.
me.
Uh, the thing
Yeah.
is like, let's say, we get objects of the in the response, right? Objects are
Hmm.
like first name colon field name maybe, and then
Mhm.
we get value colon field value.
Mhm.
I want field name colon field value as a key value pair instead of like two different key values.
Let me go to the Twitter. So here you are saying that
So
here
see,
you are.
yeah, the name is leaders and
Hmm.
value is, let's say, Sitecore. Okay.
Hmm.
So I want leaders colon Sitecore as a result. Is there a way to customize it?
Customization we can do with the aliases only that I've already explained. That way you can
Okay.
change it. Yeah. Actually, alias
Okay,
is
sure.
there for this reason only. So we can give the names as per our need.
But I tried that. Even though using those with that aliases, the response is not that customized like to the extent like we can customize for layout service.
Mhm.
That's why I was asking this.
What you are saying that using this,
Using, yeah,
mm,
yeah,
using
you
this,
can
you are not able to change the layout service response.
not layout this response itself.
Using
Maybe I
aliases,
can get back to you after this session.
so you are saying that using this, it was not changing.
Yes.
We can directly write the name here. Yeah, it will change accordingly. You can give any name,
Okay.
demo ID. So it is changing like this.
Okay.
So you can give
Sure.
any name. There must be some syntax or some issue. So you can connect with me later. And we can
Yeah.
check
Yeah.
it.
Sure. Sure. Thank you.
Let me go to other questions. Is there a way to pass the data source without variable? So we can pass that directly inside the query, as we have seen in some of the query that we can define the path, directly the path or the ID. So that way we can pass it. Then we have the question, could you please explain how to get results, search results in layout service JSON? So layout service JSON, the search result, we can directly use the query inside the experience edge or at some channel we directly want to use, because in layout service response on item, we don't want to use it. There is no use, I guess.
Hi Nidhi, Mayank this
Yes.
side. Actually, I just want to know that let's suppose I want to send some data to a front-end developer, React developer.
Mhm. Yes.
So we see that actually with the help of layout services, we can send the data to
Mm.
front-end developer, right?
Yes.
So with that JSON data, we also need to send the search results. So how we can send it to front-end?
In the GraphQL query itself, you can write that inside the GraphQL query section. The query which I explained you can append that query inside the same, and it will change the layout response accordingly.
So it
Uh,
means you mean that the layout service JSON, let's suppose about page you explained. So
Mhm.
about page JSON will be different result and the search result will be different over there, right?
No, no, no. Whatever you will write inside the query editor, it will change the response accordingly. What we have seen. Let me go to that. So here we have checked that if we are writing the query inside the rendering, right? So if we are
Mhm.
if you are writing any query here inside the GraphQL, so the layout service will give the response according to this query, not as per the default JSON.
Okay, got it. It means we
So
can
here
directly
you can
put
write
the
whatever.
search result.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. Here you can write whatever query you want to. And if you are writing any query here, if I am
Hmm.
removing it here and saving it, so the response will change according to this. And if I'm writing the query again and saving it, so it will give me this result.
Can you put a search result query over there? Here, if you have.
result. It is not handy directly. We need to check the this like how we can combine this both. I will do this and we can get back. I will get back to you.
Sure. Thank you, Nidhi.
Do we have any more questions for anyone from anyone? Okay. So I think we are good. So if you have any other questions, we can connect later on the community or the LinkedIn or somewhere. You can reach out anytime. So thanks everyone for taking time for joining this session, and a big thanks to the host for providing us this platform and the opportunity to talk about GraphQL. See you soon with some other interesting topic, and surely we'll meet again. Thank you.
Thank you, Nidhi. Thank you, Praveen.
Thank you.
Thanks
Thank you.
everyone.
Thanks, Ajay.